It's a diverse representation that I'm presenting to my students, that they can all see themselves in the people that we're studying, that it's not just men, it's women, it's people of color. Um, there's a broad spectrum of identities and roles within the world of music. I wanted to create a music history resource solely for women. Um, Honestly, just because there aren't any right now, or there's very few. There's women featured here and there, like Hildegard von Bingen and Clara Schumann. Sometimes Fanny Mendelssohn makes it into a book, but they've been ignored because our music history resources have been telling the history of North America and Europe, right? That's what classical music is. It's the history of North America and Europe, but just focused in on the music aspect of that. And those societies, women have traditionally stayed at home. So the stories of the women and the roles that they played in music history weren't told. And I really felt like there was a hole there in the music ed resources available. So as I was writing the book, I was surprised by two things. First, that these women weren't just like token players in their field, that they made real contributions and they deserve to be known about. Like, they are on equal footing to their male counterparts. We have like the first person of color to perform at the Metropolitan Opera, or the first solo recording of an instrument that was made by a woman. The first musical drama was written by a woman. Even Fanny Mendelssohn, there's a funny story I put in the book that she had to have a lot of her music published under her brother Felix's name just to get it out there in the world at that time. And Felix was in England meeting the Queen, and the Queen said, "Oh, such and such piece is my favorite of yours," and he had to fess up and admit that it was actually one his sister had written. Had to be published under his name. So it was really fun to see all those accomplishments that I wasn't previously aware of, that I had been ignorant of. And then also to see where the women had supported each other, which was really interesting to me, how like the opera singer Marian Anderson, for instance, specifically performed the music of another woman of color, composer Florence Beatrice Price, who's in the book. So they supported each other's careers, which was neat to see. I would like for students to see how broad history is. And this isn't something that's happening in just music, right? All of our fields are kind of broadening their perspective off of that white male-centric viewpoint that we've had for a long, long time in the Western world. And I'd like them to see, that it wasn't a straight line, and that it wasn't just like Bach to Mozart to Beethoven, but that it was an organic process, and there were a lot of people involved at all levels. And to see that that's still happening today, and that there's still work to be done today. And the use of this book by Music Educator is a little tiny part of that, right? Or even if you don't use this book and you use other resources, but being part of the work of including all kinds of people in music and acknowledging that we haven't reached that point yet, right? For instance, women up until the 18th century could not play female roles in operas. The female roles were played by men. It wasn't until like the last 100 years that women could even audition to be part of professional orchestras. And of course, we've done a good job of increasing the percentage of women there, but it's still not equal. And there's still only one female conductor of a North American orchestra in Baltimore. That's it. There's just one. So I think there's a lot of work still to be done, of course. And I hope that we can get our students engaged in that work.